Good day, everyone, and we are delighted, as you can tell, that you are here for today's session to explore ECWC's newly released Guide to Early Childhood Education Registered Apprenticeship Program Development. Later, you will get a chance to hear directly from program sponsors about their experience developing an ECERA program. So glad that you are here and you're able to join us today. All right. First, some housekeeping, because we have to have some things in order. So to turn on closed caption, click the three dots labeled More at the top of your Teams window and select Language and Speech from that menu, and then click Show Live Captions. We also request that all participants remain muted as we present today's content. At the end of the presentation, we have set aside time for Q&A, where we look forward to hearing from you. We know that we are not the only experts in the virtual room today. So we encourage you to pop your comments and questions into the chat throughout today's session. And finally, no need to ask. We have you covered. The slide deck and resources shared today will be sent to each of you in our follow-up email, and a recording of the webinar will be available on our website and our YouTube channel. Here on the next slide is an overview of what we have planned today. We'll begin with an introduction to the Guide for Early Childhood Education Registered Apprenticeship Program Development, followed by a closer look at what it includes and how it is used. Later, we'll hear from two registered apprenticeship sponsors as they share their experiences developing new programs. After some time for question and discussion, we'll wrap up by highlighting resources and supports available from ECWC. So let's get started. So let's meet our speakers today. I, of course, am Marion Grant Whitlock with the Early Childhood Workforce Connector as the Early Childhood Education Liaison. And what I do is I always provide the expert technical assistance on early childhood education, professional development, and mentoring in the context of apprenticeship to our partners and clients. My passion for empowering early childhood educators and advocating for families and children drives the work that I do in promoting inclusion, meaningful relationships, and social emotional literacy and human development. You'll also see Kimberly Ferris. She is our ECWC Registered Apprenticeship subject matter expert with extensive experience developing and expanding programs in early childhood education. She specializes in program design, operations, and cross-sector collaboration. Kimberly has led initiatives with state agencies, educators, and community partners to build sustainable, high-quality career pathways that strengthen the ECE workforce. Kimberly is the lead author on the guide we are exploring today. Welcome, Kimberly. We'll be joined by Laura White, Director of Operations at Quality Care for Children, better known as QCC, a child care resource and referral agency located in Atlanta, Georgia. Over the last 12 years, she has advanced from frontline specialist to enterprise level leader, overseeing workforce development initiatives across 3 regional offices spanning 48 Georgia counties. Laura is developing an ECE Registered Apprenticeship Program in partnership with ECWC. And next, we have Shondine Gomez. She is the Director of Urban Strategies Early Head Start in Phoenix, Arizona, where she has served in a leadership role for nearly 6 years. With more than 25 years of experience in early childhood education, Shondine has worked in a variety of capacities, supporting young children, families, and communities. Her extensive background and commitment to high quality early learning have helped drive programs excellence and positive outcomes for children and families across the region. Without further ado, drum roll please, I am going to pass the mic over to Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Marian, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As you can tell, we are very excited to get this resource out into the world and to discuss it with you all today. Before we introduce the guide, I'd like to take a moment to share who we are and the work that led to its development. The Early Childhood Workforce Connector is here to make apprenticeship easier. As an independent early childhood education apprenticeship intermediary, we are dedicated to advancing a highly qualified, well-compensated early childhood workforce. By supporting the development and expansion of registered apprenticeship, youth apprenticeship, and pre-apprenticeship programs. Through this work, we've partnered with more than 80 organizations across the country. I see a couple of them on the call today. We've worked with them to develop, expand, and advocate for early childhood education apprenticeship programs. As many of you already know, the language used by registered apprenticeship systems and regulatory agencies doesn't always align with early childhood, and that's where we come in, serving as both a translator and a connector, helping these systems better understand one another and work more effectively together. To help bridge that gap, we've developed our guide to early childhood education registered apprenticeship program development. The guide not only outlines regulatory requirements and the steps to program development, but also highlights lessons learned and promising practices from successful ECE apprenticeship programs across the country. Our goal is to simplify the development process and better prepare sponsors for a successful program approval and launch. Before we dive into the guide further, I'd like to start with a little game for us to play. We are going to Kahoot. Before we jump in, I want to make sure that everyone is set up and ready to join. If you have an extra device handy, please grab it now. On your first device, probably your laptop where you're joining us, please stay in Teams like you normally would. Then you'll use your second device like a phone or a tablet to join Kahoot using the QR code and link provided that I'll share in just a moment. That way you can watch and listen on one screen and answer questions in the other. If you're using just one device, that's totally okay too. If you're on a laptop, you'll just open a second browser window and try to keep both Teams and Kahoot visible side by side so you can follow along and answer questions at the same time. If you're on a tablet or phone, you'll join Kahoot in a new window. And then during the quiz, just keep your Teams running in the background, and that way you'll be able to hear us. All right, now what I'd like to do is go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to show you the Kahoot login and link that you can use. I'm going to post that link in the chat. There we go. And then you can use that QR code or the URL to join the Kahoot. And look at that, I've already got quite a few people logging in. Let's see, 48. Oh, coming in quick. Look at that.
I think people are ready to play, Kimberly. That's what I'm thinking.
Let's do it. So we have a little quiz to get us going. I'm going to start now. All right, so first question is just a poll. We'd like to know who's in the room today. So how familiar are you with registered apprenticeship? Not at all, maybe a little bit, pretty familiar, or super familiar with registered apprenticeship. Okay, I see those answers coming in. Oh, wait, I didn't see the results. Was anyone quick enough? How many experts?
Yeah, they had a lot. We had a good percentage of very familiar.
All right,
and then
good.
The rest was a range.
All right, awesome. Our next question, I'm going to have Marian help me out with.
All righty. So our next question, what percentage of apprentices typically remain with their host employer after completing an RA program? Let's see those options. We have under 50%, 30%, 65%, or over 90%. Let's see. We have some answers coming in. Let's see. And the answer is over 90%. That's right. Over 90% is the answer, and the current data from the U.S. Department of Labor found that 94% of apprentices remain employed with their host employer after completing their apprenticeship program. That is a pretty high retention rate, if you ask me, Kimberly.
I would agree. I would agree. All right, let's head to our next question. The U.S. Department of Labor recognizes over 1,300 apprenticeable occupations. How many of those occupations are for early childhood education? Is it 12? Is it 7? Is it 5 or 4? How many do you think are for early childhood education? All right, I see quite a few. Oh, let's see. Okay, so 4, 14, 14 for 5. We have 4 for 12, 4 for 7, and 9 for 4. The correct answer is 4. So we've got quite a range here. There are currently 4 occupations that are approved for early childhood education through the U.S. Department of Labor. ECWC, along with one of our partners, actually just submitted an application for a new occupation. We hope for that to be approved very soon, which would increase that number to 5.
Awesome,
Right.
awesome. Our next question is a true or false? True or false? Increased workforce shortages are the key reason ECE programs are increasing across the country. True or false? Doop, 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 doop. Oh, we're getting quick answers on that one.
Yeah,
Let's see.
quite a few
Ooh,
answers.
ooh, ooh, yes. All right. Let's see what those.
Yeah, I'm going to skip the timer. I think everyone answered.
Yeah,
Let's see.
and let's get it. It is true, Kimberly. According to a recent analysis from the First 5 Years Fund, workforce shortages are a major driver behind the growth of ECE registered apprenticeship programs nationwide. Early childhood employers continue to face significant recruitment and retention strategies, and registered apprenticeship programs have proven to be an effective strategy for building a qualified workforce. All right. I think we're on to our last question. Everybody ready? It's a true or false. Last question. ECE programs must follow a single fixed model for on the job learning and related training. Your options are true or false. Okay. All right. Let's see. People are diving in there, and survey says false. You are correct. 24 people chose false. So let's see. One of the greatest strengths of registered apprenticeship is its flexibility. While all programs must meet regulatory standards, they can be customized to reflect the unique workforce needs, employer priorities, and local context of a community. The guide is designed to help readers navigate the key decisions involved in developing an ECERA program that fulfills their specific goals and workforce needs. You know what, Kimberly? That was great participation. And I'd just like to thank everybody for participating in our game. And let's go to, oh, we have a leaderboard. And let's see, we have, is it Tanel? She is in third place, and Ali is in second, and O, L, number one, 4 out of 4. Let's get it. We got some runners up too. We saw some runners up there as well. So thank you all. Yes, claps and hooray for everyone. And you see all the cheers coming in for our leaderboards and our runner up. So I would just like to thank you all for participating. I told you we were going to have all kinds of fun today, Kimberly. Look, and everybody was all game for it. Love it. So, with that being said, I know you guys are getting, tired of hearing my voice. I'm going to pass this over to Kimberly.
Never, Marian. I'm never tired of hearing your voice. That was so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I hope you found it fun and also maybe a little bit educational. I thought that was a good place to help us frame the work as we've been exploring our guide. To begin with that, I'd like to start with the basics. Before building a new early childhood education registered apprenticeship program, it's important to understand what a registered apprenticeship program is, how the apprenticeship system works, and the key early childhood education considerations that will shape program design. So let's start at the beginning. What is a registered apprenticeship? Registered apprenticeship is an industry-driven, high-quality career pathway where employers can develop and prepare their future workforce. And individuals can obtain paid work experience, classroom instruction, and a portable, nationally recognized credential. That's the official definition from the U.S. Department of Labor, but let's take a closer look at what that means. Registered apprenticeship is a structured U.S. Department of Labor approved workforce training model. While apprenticeship programs can look different across industries, all programs include 5 core components. The first is that it is industry-led. Programs are designed and approved with industry input to ensure apprentices gain the skills needed for high-demand occupations. It is a paid job. Apprentices are employees who earn wages that increase as they gain skills and progress through the program. It includes on-the-job learning. Apprentices receive structured, hands-on learning under the supervision, guidance, and mentorship of an experienced professional referred to as a journey worker or mentor. It includes related training. Apprentices complete training, meaning educational coursework that directly relates to what they are learning to do on the job. And last, it ends with a nationally recognized credential. Upon completion, apprentices earn a portable credential that is recognized nationwide and does not expire. Now, while these 5 components sound straightforward, no one entity can do this alone. Let's take a closer look at the key partners that make a registered apprenticeship program possible. A successful program relies on strong partnerships with each one playing a distinct role. The program sponsor serves as a coordinator, bringing the program together by recruiting employers and apprentices, managing administration, and coordinating related training opportunities. Related training providers deliver the educational coursework that supports on-the-job learning and helps apprentices navigate education systems and pathways. Employers provide the hands-on learning experience, supervising apprentices and supporting their growth through mentorship and structured on-the-job learning. Supporting partners such as a workforce development board or early childhood education agency can provide valuable resources like pre-employment support, wraparound services, tuition assistance, or even job coaching that help apprentices succeed and complete the program. All of these partners are working together to uplift the apprentice, ECE providers, the apprenticeship program, and of course, the communities that they serve. As you can imagine, collaboration is key to keeping everyone aligned and moving towards shared goals. That's one reason group sponsorship is widely considered an effective model for ECE RA programs. Let's take a closer look at how that works and why it's become a leading model within registered apprenticeship. In the group sponsorship model, a single organization coordinates the program on behalf of multiple employers. The group sponsor serves as a primary connection to the Office of Apprenticeship or State Apprenticeship Agency. Don't worry, more on that next. And they manage many of the administrative responsibilities needed to operate the program. This includes things like reporting, data collection, record keeping, and overall program coordination. By centralizing these responsibilities, the group sponsor helps create a more efficient apprentice experience for everyone that's involved. Group sponsorship is widely recognized as a best practice in ECE because it reduces cost, streamlines program management, and helps ensure consistent training standards across all participating employers. Perhaps most importantly, this model strengthens sustainability and accessibility by allowing ECE employers of every shape and size to share resources and participate in a larger workforce development strategy. A question that we often hear at ECWC is who can serve as the program sponsor? And the answer is that we've seen a variety of organizations successfully fulfill that role. Some of those include a child care resource and referral agency, or CCR&R, universities, community colleges, and other training providers, workforce development boards, and community-based organizations have been successful group sponsors for ECERA. While the specific structure may vary, the most successful group sponsors share a common goal: bringing together partners, managing program operations, and a dedication to creating pathways that make apprenticeship more accessible and sustainable. Now, let's shift our focus to understanding the broader apprenticeship system and some of the ECE-specific considerations that influence program design. It's important to understand the registered apprenticeship system that you'll be working within. As you can see on the map, there are two types of entities responsible for registering and overseeing apprenticeship programs. The green states are overseen by the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Apprenticeship, often referred to as OA. In these states, OA is responsible for program registration and oversight. The blue spotted states are governed by a state apprenticeship agency, or SAA. These agencies have been approved to oversee apprenticeship programs within their state. While they follow the National Registered Apprenticeship regulations, they may also have some additional state-specific requirements, processes, or regulations. No matter which system your state operates under, support is available. Both OA and SAA offices have dedicated staff. Some are on the call today, and they are there to support apprenticeship programs. Often referred to as apprenticeship training representatives, or ATRs, they answer questions, connect you with resources, explain requirements, and can guide you through the development and registration process. Because requirements can vary from state to state, we strongly encourage you to identify your apprenticeship office and connect with an ATR early in your development process. In the chat and in our follow-up email, we're going to share a link to apprenticeship.gov, which can help you identify your local apprenticeship agency. Next, let's take a look at another important landscape: the early childhood education considerations that impact program design. Understanding your state's ECE system is a key step in building a successful and sustainable program. Every state has its own early childhood professional development system, licensing requirements, and workforce initiatives. As you design your program, you'll want to make sure that it aligns with these existing frameworks. That ensures that apprentices are meeting the qualifications needed to work and advance in their ECE careers. You can explore and understand the education, training, and support resources already available in your community. Many states have funding and professional development opportunities that can help reduce barriers for apprentices and employers. One resource to pay particular attention to is the Child Care and Development Fund, or CCDF. In addition to helping families access childcare, CCDF often supports workforce initiatives and professional development opportunities for early childhood educators. Depending on your state, these resources may help apprentices access childcare for their families, training funds, scholarships, coaching, and other supports that can help improve retention and completion throughout their apprenticeship journey. Successful programs are designed with both the apprenticeship system and the ECE system in mind. Taking the time to understand these requirements and resources upfront will help you build a stronger program. All right, now that was a lot of information, and for some of you, it may be brand new information. I would love to hear from you. If you could please type in the chat one fact or concept from our last section, ECERA 101. If you could just type out what surprised you, what made you go, huh, or I haven't thought of it that way. And I can't see the chat, so if there's stuff coming in, maybe
I'm looking and we haven't seen anything yet. No, doesn't look like anyone was surprised.
Nothing was surprised.
Anyone? Any aha moments?
Oh yeah. Yeah, aha moment from the quiz is great too.
Great. Yep. Aha on the retention number, state differences. The enormous network, and a question about Puerto Rico. That's not on our map, so that's a good shout out.
I think they're off to the side. There's little boxes with it, but let me zoom in here and I can tell you.
32 states regulate their own apprenticeship agencies, which is true.
Puerto Rico is an Office of Apprenticeship, so an OA state. And that link that Riva shared in the chat can help you access the apprenticeship office for Puerto Rico, Vilma.
That the credential doesn't need to be renewed was a little bit, was a
one.
Aha moment. That's a good one. Employer support to support apprentices. And again, the retention numbers. That matters.
That's huge. That's huge. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for sharing what surprised you. We'll go ahead and move on to our next section, which I'm really excited about. We're going to explore the guide even further. So now that we've covered the foundational concepts in the guide, let's take a deeper dive into developing and launching an ECE Registered Apprenticeship program. One of the most common questions we get is, how long does it take to develop and launch a registered apprenticeship program? And the honest answer is, it depends. Rather than focusing on a specific timeline, we wanted the guide to focus on the key steps involved in building a successful program. The guide outlines 6 steps to program development, and this graphic is designed to show how those steps build on one another and often overlap throughout the process. Although we've included a 6-month timeline as an example, each program's development journey will be unique. The important thing isn't how quickly you move through each of the steps, it's taking the time to design a program that will support your apprentices, employers, and overall long-term success of your program. Now let's take a look at each of the steps. Step 1 is explore and prepare. Before jumping into program design, get clear about why you're developing a program. Consider the workforce challenges you're trying to address, such as staffing shortages, high turnover, recruitment difficulties, or unclear advancement opportunities for educators. This is also where many of the concepts in ECERA 101 come back into play. You'll build your understanding of the apprenticeship system, become familiar with ECE requirements and resources, and begin to identify some of those key partners. Another important task is defining your program scope. Will it serve a single employer, a community, a region, or the entire state? The answer will help determine future decisions. The guide encourages you to begin with the end in mind. What outcomes do you want to achieve, and what will success look like? Establishing a clear vision from the beginning will help keep the development process focused. Step 2 is all about bringing together the partners who will help shape your program. We recommend establishing an advisory group early in the process to provide guidance, feedback, and expertise. Employers should play a central role and you may also include training providers, workforce and ECE partners, community-based organizations, and early childhood educators themselves. While all perspectives are valuable, employer input should drive program design. This ensures that apprentices gain the skills, knowledge, and competencies that are needed in the classroom. The goal of this step is to build a committed group that reflects local needs and aligns with industry expectations and supports long-term program success. With your advisory group in place, the next step is defining partnerships and clarifying roles. While we've already talked about the essential partners involved in a program, this is where those relationships become more intentional and formalized. At a minimum, your program will need defined partnerships with a sponsor, a related training provider, at least one employer, and supporting partners who are committed to helping your program. Strong partnerships are built on clear roles, communication, and shared accountability. Taking the time to define partner roles and responsibility will make the program much smoother to launch and sustain. Step 4 is where the advisory group's work really comes to life. Now it's time to design the components that will make up your program. There are several program components to consider and decisions to be made. Working with the advisory group, together, you will make decisions about the occupation, program approach, work process schedule, and all the other elements that you see on the screen here. The good news is that you don't have to start from scratch. Many apprenticeship frameworks and resources already exist and can be adapted to meet your specific goals. The guide dedicates many pages to step 4 because these decisions become the foundation for your standards of apprenticeship. The standards of apprenticeship are the official document that outlines the terms of the registered apprenticeship program and all of its components, which brings us to our next step. Step 5 is program registration. This is where all of the planning, partnership building, and program design work comes together into a formal application for program approval. You'll compile your standards of apprenticeship and any required documentation for review by your apprenticeship office. This is also where we often get asked, well, how long does it take for program approval? And the answer is that completely depends on your OA or SAA office. Some programs are approved within days or weeks, while others may take a little bit longer. A major recommendation that we highlight in the guide is to maintain regular communication with your ATR and request status updates. This will help keep the process moving smoothly and keep you informed. Once approved, your program will receive official recommendation and recognition as a registered apprenticeship program. However, approval is not the finish line, which brings us to our final step. Your program is officially approved and you're ready to put it into action. Step 6 is program launch. This final step includes establishing the administrative processes needed to support the program management. You'll also develop an orientation process to help apprentices, employers, and mentors understand the expectations, roles, and available supports within the program. Recruitment is another key feature. This ensures that you have a strategy to attract and retain qualified apprentices, and for group sponsors, more employers to join the program. Finally, create a system for data tracking and continuous improvement. Regularly reviewing outcomes, participant feedback, and program data will help you identify successes, address challenges, and strengthen the program over time. The work that you've done in the previous steps has prepared you for this moment. You got this. Long-term success requires intentional planning and sustainability from the very beginning. We briefly touch on this in the guide, but I encourage you to check out ECWC's Funding and Sustainability Guide, which helps you develop your own sustainability plan. Before we move on, the guide also highlights a few more additional considerations and available resources that can strengthen your program. First is mentorship. Mentorship is widely considered a best practice because it helps apprentices build confidence, develop skills, and navigate the apprenticeship journey. Second is policies and procedures. Having clear documented processes helps create consistency, clarify expectations, and support effective program management. Finally, consider stackable apprenticeship pathways. These pathways allow apprentices to build on prior credentials and continue advancing their careers through additional apprenticeship opportunities over time. The guide explores each of these topics in greater detail, and you'll also find some additional resources on the ECWC website that we highly encourage you to check out. Before I pass things off to Marian and our featured program sponsors, I would love to hear from you. As we move into sponsor stories, which of the 6 steps are you most curious to hear real-world examples from our featured sponsors? Step 1, exploring and preparing. You want to hear from the sponsors how they assembled their advisory group, how they defined partnerships, how they designed all those program components. Maybe you want to hear what their program registration journey was like, or what it's been like for program launch. All right, I think we've got quite a few of those polls coming in. Oh, we've got design program components by a long shot, it looks like, followed by defining partnerships, a couple for the advisory group.
We got some that mix between 3 and 4. Yeah. Hi.
Well, I'm excited to hear about all of that and more from our featured sponsors. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Marian.
All righty, I'm back. And so first, I'd like to thank Kimberly for the excellent overview as usual. And next, we're going to hear directly from 2 program sponsors about their journeys in developing early childhood education registered apprenticeship programs. First, I'd like to welcome Laura White, Director of Operations at Quality Care for Children in Atlanta, Georgia, who is currently developing an ECE Registered Apprenticeship program. Laura, thank you for being here and sharing your experience with us. So take it away.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. First of all, I want to say thank you to ECWC. We would not have been able to go through this process without you, without your guidance and support and advice and encouragement. So I just want to thank you for that. I see that the group really wants to know about defining partnerships and program design. And I really feel like those 2 things go hand in hand because it's your partners that you engage with through your advisory committee that's going to help you make program design choices and decisions. So right now we're in the process of figuring out who are those key stakeholders that we need to have at the table that will help guide us, that can help kind of talk to us about what they feel like the early childhood workforce needs in the state of Georgia. So we're looking at different employers because we definitely want this to be employer driven and other partners. So I would just encourage you to think about your state, think about those connections that you already have, those people that you already know that are just as passionate as you are, and start talking to them. Every time I go somewhere, I'm talking about this registered apprenticeship, and it's amazing how many people are excited about it. As far as the program design, working with ECWC, they have helped us so much. Like there's so many resources that they have to help with program design. And what they said about not starting from scratch, that is so key. Because when you first start, you're just like, what are all these pieces? What's a work process schedule? What is all of this? But they will give you a lot of resources that you can take and modify and adapt to fit your model and to fit what the needs are in your state. So right now, we are making decisions about what career pathways that we want to pursue right now. So we know we have at least one solid one. And then we're kind of thinking about maybe something that we may do alongside or maybe the next year, because we want to move with intention and not bite off more than we can chew to start with. And so they're great thought partners in that. And then we're also working on like our standards builder, some of our appendices. So we're working on our work process schedule. So they've given us great resources to start with. And so I've got a work group together that's kind of like looking at those components. And then we'll bring all that back to our advisory committee and have them look through it and be like, yeah, this is great. I don't think about this or whatever. So we're excited. So we're still kind of in the process of developing, but it's just been a joy to work with this group. We're excited. We know we're going to get to the finish line of developing this, submitting and launching. So we're looking to launch hopefully early first quarter 2027.
Okay, thank you so much, Laura. And I want to also bring back and ask you this question. Um, why are you building? Why did QCC think about registered apprenticeship in early childhood education?
Oh my gosh. I think for the same reason that everyone on this call started doing this, because we wanted to strengthen and stabilize the early childhood workforce here in Georgia. We know that there is high turnover rates. We know that a lot of teachers are passionate about the field, but they need the support for their education and training, and they just need a pathway. We also believe that if people have that pathway, then they can make a career out of this. Not just something that they're doing, but they can do it and really feel grounded and successful in their career. And that provides great opportunities for children. So that's why we're doing it. And I love to hear the statistic that you gave about 90% of employees stay with
Yeah.
their whole site. So we're so excited to be rolling out our own Georgia stats after we get this
Oh,
up and going.
well, that is awesome, Laura. That is awesome. And so that makes me think, what's in the future for QCC?
Oh my goodness, the future is bright. The future, we want to
Wonderful.
have multiple pathways, stackable pathways. We would love to have a pre-apprenticeship and youth apprenticeship. We love to have a strong mentorship program because we know mentors help really anchor this. And so we're just looking for all of that. So ask us again in a year and then again in 2 years. And we'll have a great story to tell.
Well, you know what, Laura, those sound like follow-up webinars. So I'm just saying, if you're just going to put yourself out there, we're going to follow up with you. Thank you so much,
All
Laura.
right.
And so our next speaker is Shondine Gomez. Shondine is the Director of Urban Strategies, Early Head Start in Phoenix, Arizona. And Shondine and the team recently celebrated, I'm not going to say anything, this something special, but they recently celebrated a 1 year anniversary. So Shondine's going to tell you all about that in their ECE Registered Apprenticeship launch. And so we're looking forward to hearing about their development journey and reflections from the first year of running a program. So Shondine, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be with all of you today and share our journey. And it's truly a journey. I couldn't agree more with what Laura has said, what Kimberly has shared, and Marion. It's been a journey, but a rewarding journey so far. When we first got into this, apprenticeship, what does that mean? I think it was like, what is this word and how do we even start? It really started back in 2024. Just us just dabbling in it, exploring what is this, where do we even start? And as you've said, Marion, it's been a year already, and I'm like, wow, it's already been a year. And so it's very individualized based off of what we wanted as a program. What was our goal? What was our intention? And so the main thing was that first, we went through all phases of those steps. And like Kimberly said, it's going to either go quick, it's going to go slow. It just really depends on where you're at. And I think ECWC supporting and facilitating along the way was really a factor in this, and plus working with our advisory group, like that was right away establishing who those key individuals were, and it was such a safe place to do it. I think that allowed us to ask those questions and not be afraid to ask the questions and have those timelines in place. However, through the process, I want to say, I'm like, oh, they're going to ask about step 4, because step 4 was really that place of diving into, your job descriptions and your wage scales and all the tedious work. However, just like, as mentioned here, there were already templates, or we already had something in place. It was a matter of modifications, and it wasn't really starting from scratch. You had something to work with. Again, using your advisory board as the experts in this and guiding you in that process. We had, the Arizona Department of Education on our advisory board, making sure that those standards were in place, working with Arizona Department of Economic Security and making sure that we were, having everything in place as well. So having those key contacts along the way reachable, because they were, we were able to email and ask questions as we moved along. But as we got, like I said, we started the conversation in early 2024, and then we started reaching out like probably in fall. And then we started, okay, let's do this. And we had that checklist, the infamous checklist that leads you through with all those timelines and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And so as we navigated through that, and then January was our ultimate goal of 2025 of, okay, how do we, we're ready to submit the application now, and so after we did that, and then like in March 2025, like March 18th, I believe, we got our certificate identifying us as a registered apprentice. It was like, oh my gosh, all that work, we finally paid off. So that was one form of certificate that we received. And then we were able to register our first apprentice. And it was wonderful to get her on that pathway and to say what her pathway was and really kind of be transparent about that. And then also in that you're going to get the training here. You're going to learn, get the training here while you work, and identify the journey worker, all of that good stuff that says you're going to be supported. That goes back to your 94% retention rate. And because of that, as she completed as our first apprentice, that was a success again. I'm like, oh my gosh, we just did this. And then after doing so, you hear about the certificate that they will get at the end. And that certificate just came like here in April or so. We got it. And it's beautiful. It's got the gold seals on it. It's got the governor's signature on it. It's got like Arizona Secretary of Apprenticeship. It's got a place for us as sponsors to sign. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so official, and it just really highlights the work that, the apprentice did, in investing in her education, her career pathway. And then, we look forward to continuing this journey. And then including in that, we have our newest apprentice. She's onboarding now, but she's only 17. We have to wait till she's 18, but by the time she starts, she'll be officially 18. And so it's really kind of just sparked that we're, investing in the younger generation and giving them an opportunity to build that shortage of ECE educators. And they're actually filling the buckets of other teachers who have been in the field 8 years or longer, because that, it's a mentorship and being able to mentor and teach one another and grow. It's a beautiful thing to see right now.
Oh, that's awesome. And such a wonderful perspective 1 year later. And you're still on that journey. So tell me what's in the future for you. What do you see? What do you see coming up?
Oh gosh, I think we want to build a strong mentorship program. I think that's one, investing in other staff, really getting that going, because that too supports your retention.
Yes.
So, and you saw her share, Miss Kimberly shared the guide has information there. So I'm like, okay. And so investing in that feature, continuing to expand on those partnerships that they talk about, and then our advisory board maintaining those relationships. But I would love to see us grow beyond what we are, because we're small. We're a small apprenticeship program, and we would love to expand this out and maybe partner with neighboring childhood programs to say, hey, we got you. You help us here. We'll help train your staff, and and kind of just, we know our kids need it. We know that it's needed out there, and just I think there's something good that can happen out of this for sure.
That is awesome. And thank you both for being here. But we're not done, because I know that there's questions because I know it's coming. So the next section that we're going to move to is our Q&A section. And yeah, Kimberly's going to pop up there. And so I just want to know, I mean, you talked about your future, you talked about the program development and where you are. Are there any questions in the chat that anyone has that would like to ask Laura, Shondine, or Kimberly? Or I believe, I'm not sure if you can take yourself off of mute. I believe you can. But if there's any questions or anything, Reba, do you see anything there? Because
I
I
haven't
know
seen
there's,
anything yet, but I think
okay.
people are thinking.
Oh, I know. Give them some time to noodle around because there's so much that we have learned from Laura and Shondine about their programs. And there's like you have the first starting the program development, and then you have 1 year later in that journey. And they has so much similar insights there. You know, the recruiting, the energy behind, you know, seeing starting at the beginning and then at the finish line and then continuing on to boost early childhood education. So I do see, do
Yep.
you see anything? Go
Yeah,
ahead,
we've
Reba.
got one question. If you could go back, I think this is really for both Laura and Shondine. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice as you were starting out, what would that be?
That's a
And
great
if each
question.
of you could answer that, I think that's a great question.
That's a great question.
I think something that Kimberly said, she said start at the end and kind of like go back, like what do you want to see it be? You know, and I'm like a jump in feet first, sort through all that. I'm like, Kimberly, give me everything up front. And she's like, what? You know, or what? No, like what is your goal here? And I think I would really just start with
Mhm.
that. Like, you know, start at the end. What we know that we want to see is a clear career pathway
Yes.
for our early childhood educators and being focused on that and not on all the other
Yeah.
pieces so much because it all comes together like once you know what you're trying to do. But they have a good way of like reining you in if you just kind of go wild and rogue. So
Thank you so much, Laura. Shondine.
I would say, just thinking back on it, like I said, it took us a while as a program director to get in there and try it. I think there was a lot of hesitation up front, is to not let those hesitations keep you from just jumping in, even when you don't know. Because I think it was the not knowing, but then once I got in there, like Laura said, it was like, oh, there's a whole checklist, and oh, we're going to be facilitated. Oh, they already have that. They know that person. I'm like, that was such a, relief. And I'm like, "Ah, if I would have known this, then I would have done it like 2 years ago, and now there's this beautiful guide, and we navigated without the guide prior to this. So, and it's wonderful to have this guide in place now.
Awesome. That
So
is
we've got another
awesome.
great question for Shandine and Laura again. What was the biggest surprise about the RA process for you as you navigated your way through it?
I think how many resources that ECWC had already so that you don't have to develop all this stuff from scratch. That was like that was a big surprise because, I didn't know all that exists. And then also that they've helped so many other states and organizations with this. And so there are a lot of people out there that's very passionate about registered apprenticeships for the early childhood workforce. So
And I would agree with Laura too. It was, the resources and then not starting from scratch because we're all so busy and, you try to protect your time as much as you can. And so when you have the resources already there, it's a matter of really looking at your program and identifying, okay, now that we have the resource, like, what do we want to do with this now? So I think that, that was a great and wonderful blessing to have in this process, was that not being able to create it from scratch.
So I'll tell you something about Kimberly as a member of our team. Hi, folks. I'm Reva Murphy. I'm project director at ECWC. Kimberly is a registered apprenticeship expert. So she has developed registered apprenticeship across many different industries. So the question here is, Kimberly, as you got to know early childhood as part of your work on the ECWC team and your previous work in Oregon, what were the things that surprised you about bringing registered apprenticeships so beautifully into the ECE world?
That's a great question.
Great
The
question.
biggest surprise was that a guide needed to be written on how to do this for early childhood. Construction has been doing apprenticeship for almost a century. And I came from construction apprenticeship. I was a director of apprenticeship for multiple construction apprenticeship programs. And that's what first comes to mind when you tell people about apprenticeship. Oh, plumbing or electrical. And it's a successful workforce development model that is applicable to every industry. It's the on-the-job training and the educational coursework. That related training, apprentices don't have time to say, when am I going to use this, or this isn't applicable, because they are immediately putting it into practice. And for our apprentices, in the classroom and educating our youngest learners. I think one of the things that surprised me is what we talked about kind of in the beginning, was that translation is so necessary in communicating the needs of early childhood to the workforce development system, to registered apprenticeship agencies, and doing that navigation of how those systems work together and do work together quite successfully. I mean, we have 2 examples on our call today, numerous other programs that we've worked with across the country, that those essential partners can come from every arena, but we all come together under that same umbrella of supporting the apprentice and increasing the workforce for early childhood educators, which we all know is the workforce behind the workforce. All other work can't happen if we don't have a strong, highly qualified, well-compensated early childhood workforce. And that's why it's been such a joy being able to support employers and sponsors like Shondine and Laura with developing programs like this that are doing just that.
That is awesome.
Thank you, Kimberly. We have another great question, which is curious to know how ECE has worked with unions. Kimberly or Marion, do you want to take a shot at that?
I'll take first shot at
Great.
it. We've
Sure.
worked with unions that have been the program sponsor, or we've worked with mixed systems where they have a group sponsor and they have union and non-union employers underneath them. I'd say pretty much the only difference that we've really noticed is that wage schedule.
Yeah.
And specifically for some of them, it would be negotiating that wage schedule with the union, or knowing that collective bargaining agreement will be used instead of the wage schedule. But I mean, as we've all seen, registered apprenticeship works for union and for non-union environments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had some great partnerships, I would say, systemically with some of the unions who, again, part of their mission is workforce support and development. And we have a big commitment to recognizing and advancing quality jobs in early childhood. And many of the unions share that. So there's some mission alignment there. And we love working with everyone, hence our name, the Connectors.
Yes.
Here's a great question. Is there any financial support provided for programs? Somebody want to take a shot at that, or you want me to go, Kimberly?
I can. I just feel like I've talked so
Okay,
much.
so that again, that's a it depends conversation. Yes, there's a lot of financial support out there depending on where you are and who you're asking, right? So there are states that have money going into registered apprenticeship writ large through the Department of Labor. And one of the reasons it's good to get friendly with the Department of Labor is in many states there's resources there. And if there are some barriers Sometimes people will balk at the fact that our wages are low to begin with. So you have to get over through those barriers, help them understand who you are and what you do, and you can access those. There are some financial supports related from the workforce development system that might be for wraparound services or other kinds of services, even sometimes for your related instruction. There are often in states resources from the early childhood folks that have the child development funds. They might have tuition dollars for related. So what we recommend to you in our sustainability guide is layering your resources. Go out there and look for every dime that's potentially available to you and access them. It's not always easy and you have to get creative, but it is how you build long-term sustainability. So that's important. Yes, there is some financial support, but you have to go looking. And so the next question from Vilma is, can they also, this is a great question, Vilma, thank you. Can they also earn their CDA as a next step without duplication? And for many, that could lead to college credits to continue their education toward a degree. We are all to create and support pathways for the profession. So either Marion or Kimberly, can you talk a little bit about some of the really great connections we've had with CDA programs just as part of this whole apprenticeship movement?
I'll let you take it, Marianne. I'm going to post a link in the chat.
Okay,
Thanks,
so we
Kimberly.
have had a lot of great connections with using the CDA. It just depends on what one thing I would say is that making sure that you check with the state, your location that you're located in, to see what the state qualifications for childcare would be. If would be for CDA, would it be for a technical college diploma, certificate, or what have you. But there have been some great connections in what I've seen over the past couple of years with a lot of programs using the CDA credential as their starting point and also moving through the different ranks. The support there from the Council for Professional Recognition has been phenomenal, and we've had connections with them. And we've also done lots of webinars in the beginning talking through how to build a registered apprenticeship using the CDA credential as well. And then we've also worked with the council on, financial supports with CDA, and a lot of programs across the country are using that CDA credential as a step into registered apprenticeship. I'm hoping I'm answering the question because I feel like I'm all over the place. Go ahead, Kimberly.
I was actually going to say, both of our we didn't plan it this way, but both of our featured sponsors are using the CDA in their registered apprenticeship program. So I was wondering if just for a moment, we'll start with Shondine, if you could say why you included the CDA in your registered apprenticeship program and how it's been working.
One, it's a requirement for us in early Head Start to have that credential. So it was, and plus it was something we were already accustomed to. So just being familiar with that, making that alignment. And I think that was real key for us, is just that not trying to figure out something else, but always working with what we have already. And then of course the competencies and everything aligning as well. So therefore we kept it as is.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then Laura, why are you looking to include the CDA in your program?
Pretty much the same thing that Shondine said. It's the kind of like the base standard for everything ECE teachers in Georgia. So if you want to be a teacher in a classroom, like a lead teacher or an assistant in Georgia pre-K, or I'm pretty sure it's our Head Start standard too, that they need to have a CDA in some capacity. So, and our workforce, they know what it is. They're familiar with it already. So it's not like starting something like totally new, and it can serve as a pathway into other educational opportunities.
We've had a couple of comments in the chat. One is Michael from Wisconsin is Wisconsin Apprenticeship is administering a ECE apprenticeship grant. So that apprenticeship agency is specifically targeting and supporting ECE. Michael, do you want to say anything about that to the group? Okay. But again, you may find that in the state you're in that there's already great support there. So always look around and do your research in step one. And Bruce from Illinois, an ATR from Illinois, is talking about a program that started slow and then worked its way up. Bruce, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Oh, host, participants are muted. They can't talk. Oh, sorry about that. Heidi, I thought people could actually speak up. Thank you both for those comments. That's really helpful. And I'm going to jump off of what Bruce just said and say one of the things that really struck me as Laura and Shondine were talking is these are two very different agencies who started in very different places. Again, long-term thing, the early childhood workforce and building the workforce, but they've started in really different places and both been really terrifically successful and are building in other ways. And so I think what I would say to you about that is don't be afraid, right? Jump in and prepare yourself for success. These guys are really different and they've done amazing links. Yes.
All righty. Well, Reba, I know we have about 7 more minutes left, but I really want to thank yourself, Reba, Laura, Shondine, and Kimberly for those answering those questions in our Q&A section, and then also everyone that is still participating with us in those questions and answers in our chat. So we're going to talk, I know earlier we talked about resources and support that Shondine and Reba, Kimberly, and Laura mentioned. So guess what's up next? Let's take a look at the resources and supports that ECWC can share with you. So in addition to receiving the recording and today's slide deck in your inbox, you'll also receive a link to request your copy of the Guide to ECE Registered Apprenticeship Program Development and ECWC's Funding and Sustainability Guide. We'll also share the resources referenced throughout today's session, including the links and sources featured in our Kahoot quiz, because we know we had so much fun with that. And so in today's session, there was an overview of program development process, but we wanted to remind you that you don't have to go in this journey alone. As Shondine and Laura mentioned, we're here to help. We offer a comprehensive range of support and assistance to new or expanding apprenticeship programs. Our staff can meet teams where they are in the process with customized service based on their needs. And we can assist with program development and expansion support, including program registration and streamlined program operations. We offer innovative marketing and recruitment materials and strategies, mentorship training and curriculum alignment, sustainability planning, and funding guidance, as well as landscape scans and career pathway development. ECWC is a collective team with subject matter expertise that spans from ECE, apprenticeship, and workforce development. We operate under a fee-for-service model, partnering directly with organizations to advance apprenticeship efforts and build lasting solutions for the ECE workforce. ECWC offers a tiered service model, which allows organizations to choose the level of support that best aligns with their program goals, capacity, and budget. We encourage you to reach out to us to discuss our services further and explore how we can collaborate together to advance the ECE workforce. Now, as you see, we have next sessions. ECWC is hosting quarterly webinars. We hope you can join us for our next session, Mentorship in Action, Resources, Tools, and Partner Perspectives on December 8th, 2026. The link to register for this event can be found in the follow-up email or in the chat. And also be sure to save the date for ECWC Spring webinar happening March 9th of 2027. All right, so we have connect with us because we are the ECW, we are ECWC, and we are the connector. So you will see on this slide, we have our webpage. We also have our email address. We have our e-newsletter that was just recently released. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and our famous YouTube channel. Also listed on the slide, you have Laura White with Quality Care for Children in Atlanta, Georgia, in her contact information, and also Shandine Gomez, Urban Strategies in Phoenix, Arizona, with their contact information. And with all of that being said, we could not have been in this place at this time without you, and we thank you for joining our webinar. Again, thank you, Laura, Shandine, Kimberly, Reba, and everyone on this call for joining us with the great questions and the interactions. And please stay tuned and watch your email for the follow-up email with all the resources, links, and all the goods on ECWC. Thank you, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.